Okay, we're going to start over here again, the two dots. There was a little bit of a distraction with the work on Friday. Al tiftach pelosotov. Okay. Itmar. Ketana sheniskacha shelo dasavio. A minor, a woman, a girl gets married without her father's consent. Shelo dasavio. Daughter, ketana. Not a nara. This is a ketana. We all understand that a ketana, on a Torah level, cannot marry unless the father agrees that she should marry. So we have a ketana sheniskacha shelo dasavio. Without her father's awareness, she's marrying this man. That if the husband should choose to divorce her, or that she should be permitted to another man, he has to give her a get, and also she has to have miyun. What's the question? It's a question whether it's a kiddushin d'oraisa. If it's a kiddushin d'oraisa, she needs a get. If it's kiddushin d'rabbanan, it's only rabbinic kiddushin, then she needs miyun. Now, the question, but how could it be a kiddushin d'oraisa if the father's not aware, and we know that a girl, a minor, we said even a nara cannot marry. We rule like Rabbi Yochanan, that a nara, even if she's an adult, she cannot marry unless without the consent of the father. And here we're talking about a ketana, she's married without the consent of the father. Where independent father, she definitely cannot. She doesn't have das, right? She doesn't have sufficient halachic intelligence to bring about a marriage. Nevertheless, Shmuel says she needs a get, and she needs miyun. That means there's a question whether it's a kiddushin d'oraisa, kiddushin d'rabbanan. If it's a kiddushin d'oraisa, she needs a get. It's kiddushin d'rabbanan, miyun is sufficient. We'll discuss it in a moment. Why you need? No. We'll see it. We'll discuss it. That's the Gemara's question. That the Gemara asks. The Gemara asks Manavshach. Is it A or is it B? No, it doesn't. Because you could have a problem. Because that's the Gemara. We'll discuss the Gemara. Okay? You see from here that you can learn something, and yet you have to learn it again. Okay? Now, the Gemara will explain that the case, that why does she need a get? It's speaking that there was a shidduch. That the father initially agreed that his daughter should marry this man. So, they discussed it, he agreed, this should be his future son-in-law. However, at the time of the marriage, he did not give instructions to his daughter or to the man, give the money to my daughter. So now our question is, although the father initially was in agreement, but since he's unaware at the time of the marriage, he didn't give direct instruction that the daughter should receive the money or the man should give the money, the question is he still in agreement? And therefore what the daughter does is in agreement with the father originally agreed, therefore it's a kiddushin d'oraisa? Or we say no, that since the father did not give the directive to the man to give the money to his daughter, maybe not, maybe he's not in agreement, although originally he agreed. So that's the question whether she needs a get or doesn't need. If we say he's still in agreement, so now when she receives the money from the man who originally he agreed should be his future son-in-law, it's kiddushin d'oraisa. Therefore you need a get. But on the other hand, maybe this is considered the initiative of the girl, and if it's the initiative of the girl, it's a rabbinic marriage, and therefore miyun is sufficient. Oma Karno, who was one of the Dayanim, says Dvarim begav. There's something which seems to be enigmatic here. It's contradictory. Im get, if you need a get, lama miyun. Why do we need miyun? Im miyun lama get. What exactly is going on over here? Why do we have to address both? Kiddushin d'oraisa, kiddushin d'rabbanan. I mean, the Gemara eventually was going to say because it's a shidduch. Im miyun lama get. If we're saying it's only a rabbinic marriage doesn't need a get. Omru lei. So the Talmudim had said, Homar Rukva, Ubeidina Bekafri. Marukva, who's in a community called Kafri, and he has a bezdin there, will pose the question to that bezdin, and maybe we'll have some level of understanding of what Shmuel had said. However, Avchua, they inverted it. meaning the halacha they quoted was the name of Karna, and Shmuel is the one who had the difficulty understanding Karna's ruling that you need the get and you need the miyun. They inverted the positions, and they sent it to Rav. They sent it to Rav. The Rav should be the one to resolve the issue. As they said, if you need a get indicates it's a kiddushin oraisa, and miyun indicates it's kiddushin rabbanon. Omar lahu, he said, Holokim, tzricha geru tzricha miyut. He says no, it's fully cogent and understandable and rational that she needs both. She needs a get and she needs miyun. Why? V'chasli l'zaro, l'zari da'aba barabo. The name of Hochi, because the way they sent it to Rav, Shmuel had difficulty understand why you need both. So on that he says, and Hashem should have Rachmanus on the progeny of Avud Shmuel, meaning on Shmuel. The time of Ma'aseh. Now what do you need both? It's not. They inverted it. The time of Mai. Omer Ravacha Breder Aviko. Now, this man marries this girl. Let's say it would be kiddushin d'oraisa. Let's say it would be kiddushin d'oraisa. Let's say he would give her a get. Let's say subsequently he would marry the sister of his divorcee. What would you say? Here? Rochel Leah. Yaakov marries Rochel. He gives her a get. And then he does an act of kiddushin to Leah. What would you say? It's meaningless. Of course, it's Achos Grushoso. It's the sister of his divorcee. Wait a second. Wait, before you ask any questions, let's establish fact. Cannot marry only if she dies. Only if she. But as long as she's alive, it's considered incestuous relationship. So Yaakov cannot marry Leah as long as Rachel is alive. So if he would give a get to Rachel and subsequently marry Leah, wait a second, the marriage is nothing. So you'd say, what would you say? Leah could marry without anything, without a get. She can marry a third party without a get. So if, let's say they would say in this situation over here, this minor, originally, there's a shidduch, as the Gemara will explain. The father originally agreed that this man will marry his daughter, and he was in agreement. Now, without the knowledge of the father, it was not under his directive. He went and gave money to the minor in marriage. So we have a question now. Was he in agreement? Was he not in agreement? So he said, give a get. If he gives a get, so how will people interpret that to mean? That means she was definitely married because the father originally was in agreement. So now, if the husband now should now marry the sister after he divorced Rachel, he should marry Leah. Leah could marry a third party without anything. Correct? But if you're going to tell me that in addition to get she needs miyun, she has to, there's this refusal, which is an indication it's only rabbinical marriage. So what does that mean? Why did Chazal require, what's miyun? Miyun means it's retroactive. It's as if she was never married to Yaakov. It's as if Rachel was never married to Yaakov. So when Yaakov does the act of kiddushin to Leah, it may be a marriage, right? So it may be a marriage now. If he should now separate from him. Leah should now separate from Yaakov. She's not permitted to marry a third party unless she gets a get from Yaakov. So therefore, that's why you need miyun. If you'd only have a get, people say she was definitely married to Rachel. So the marriage subsequently that he had with Leah is definitely not a marriage. So Leah is free to marry without any divorce whatsoever. But if you're telling me she needs a miyun, that means it's not simple he was ever married to Rachel, right? So when she had miyun, it's as if she was never married to Yaakov, Rachel. So now when Yaakov marries Leah, it may be a bona fide marriage. It may be a bona fide marriage. That means now she would want to marry a third party. Unless she gets a get from Yaakov, she's not permitted to marry. So to avoid this problem, we have the first one, Rachel receives the get and miyun to indicate that the first marriage is not so simple as a marriage, so therefore the second marriage may be a marriage. And without a get, she's not permitted to marry a third party. No, because she may be married to... Miyun's not enough, because she may be married to Yaakov. It may be a kiddushin d'oraisa to Yaakov, because originally the father agreed that he should be the future son-in-law. What does divorce indicate? She's his wife. So that means now if Yaakov should marry Leah, the sister, is it a marriage or not a marriage? The way people will perceive it. But it's not true. It's not true. It may be a marriage. Because we only gave the get, it was a suffix. So that means the second marriage may be a marriage. It may be a marriage. If you say you need miyun in addition to get from the first one, that means that's an indication it may have not been a marriage. So if may have been, that means the second marriage may have yes been a marriage.
Well, you need to get so that Rachel, he wanted to divorce Rachel. If he doesn't give her a get, he just gives her miyun.
It's also not sufficient.
Then she can't marry anybody else.
Exactly.
So I'm saying, so
You need
the miyun is so that Leah can marry.
The question is, why is get not sufficient?
Right.
Get, she needs. Of course, it's a suffix kiddushin. Right? But but how do you know? Maybe it's a vare kiddushin. Maybe he's definitely married to Rochel. The way it's going to be perceived by people. The reason why he's definitely married to Rochel. So if Yaakov should subsequently marry Leah, what would you say? It's not a marriage. So now if Leah wants to marry a third party, does she need anything? No. Okay? But it's not true. She does need something. She needs a get. Because the first marriage he only gave a get because it was the context of a suffix. Right? Simple. I don't understand. There's a little bit of a blockage over here. No, seriously. 1 and 1 is 2, and how much have I had another one? Is it 3 or is it still 2?
Because a get shows that you were married, and a miyun shows that you were that it may not have been.
What does miyun say? What does miyun say?
Miyun says that
Miyun say it's only rabbinical. It's rabbinical.
right.
Again, let's get back to basics here. If a girl has no father whatsoever, the mother or the brother should want to marry her off. Is it a rabbinical marriage? Yes. Okay. What about if the girl herself wants to marry herself off? Rashi's, it's also rabbinical. It's a rabbinical marriage. It's a rabbinical marriage. To extricate herself from that marriage, what does she have to do? That's me. She just says, I refuse to continue the relationship. She walks out. When she says that, what is her status? It's as if she was never married to anybody. To anybody. Okay? That's rabbinical. It's a rabbinical.
They're married.
But when she walks out, it's not. Miyun doesn't terminate the marriage; it annuls the marriage. The difference is whether she can marry a Kohen. It's as if they were never married. She cohabited with her. No, it's as if they were never even married on a rabbinical level. Not even on a rabbinical level they were. It was a rabbinical marriage until she annulled it, and the miyun is an annulment of the marriage. Maybe yes, maybe not. A Kohen, no. But again, she's a minor. Without intent, she's a minor over here. No. Unless she's a Yavama. Unless she's a Yavama. Yavama is the widow of a brother, and the surviving brother performs levirate marriage. Then it does. That's the act. It has nothing to do with her intent whatsoever. It's a means. Or if the father would say, I want you to marry my daughter, and he chooses Bia, and she's more than 3 years old. It's an act of cohabitation. She's married. She is married. Because the father over there is dictating the marriage. Here the father's not dictating anything over here. Right?
This is an unlikely case. Normally we don't make your eyes on an unlikely case. Why does the Rabbanan come upon this? The unlikely case that the father agreed, but we're not sure exactly as to how he...
No, again. We're asking. We have a theoretical case.
No, I understand.
There was a shidduch, and now subsequently he did not give the directive to the husband to marry his daughter at the time. He didn't say, give my daughter money in marriage. But based on what previously happened, this man goes and marries the man's daughter without his knowledge. So we have a question. Is it a marriage d'oraisa or is it not? That's our shayla. If it's a marriage d'oraisa, and it's an irresolvable question, so you definitely need a get. Safek d'oraisa l'chumra, she needs a get. Okay? Now, so get should be sufficient. Once she's divorced, she's divorced. She could remarry. But we have a new problem, which we have to address. What if Yaakov marries the sister? If I only have a get to Rachel, and Yaakov marries Leah. So we say, something, he's not permitted to cohabit with Leah. Because he was married to what? To Rachel. So if people say that, what happens to Leah? She marries without a get? No, it's not fine. She cannot marry. Because when he gave the get to Rachel, it was a suffix. It was a suffix. He wasn't definitely married to Rachel. If he's definitely married to Rachel, then Leah needs nothing. But if I only gave a get because it's an irresolvable question, it's a suffix. It's a suffix. He may have been married to Leah. So if now, but how do people know that? People say, why he gave the get? Since it was prearranged, the marriage was definitely a marriage, and he gave the get to terminate the marriage. So subsequently, when he marries Leah, it's nothing, because it's the sister of his wife. But it's not true. People will be misled. The reason why he gave a get to Rachel, because it was a question. It was a suffix. So if that's the case, he may have been married to Leah. So, but people won't see it that. So how do we know that's a suffix? How is it indicated it's a suffix? By Miyun. Miyun tells me that the marriage on the Torah level may have not been a marriage. It was only a rabbinical marriage. So therefore, as a result of that, when he did the act of kiddushin to Leah, that's a marriage. So what if it's a suffix? It's because it's a suffix. That's why it's a suffix to Leah. On the side that he wasn't married to Rachel, that means he's married to Leah. So if he's married to Leah, Leah needs a get. Correct? Howard, you with me? I don't know. Are you in the yellow or in the black or the green? What? No, seriously. No talking, okay? Let me just repeat it. It's simple. It's as simple as ABC. Not more complicated than that. Okay? The Torah says a person marries a woman as long as the wife is alive, he's not permitted to marry the sister. Okay? He divorces Rachel and Leah's sisters. He divorces Leah, Rachel. Is he permitted to marry? If he does an act of kiddushin to Leah, is it a marriage? It's not a marriage. Of course, the Torah says he's not permitted to marry her. What about if he does an act of marriage to Rachel and to Safek kiddushin? I'll give you an example. The Mishnah in Gittin speaks about a case. Person takes something and throws it within a woman's dalar amos. Right? It's within her 4 cubits. So the halacha is within somebody's 4 cubits is considered her chotzer. It's her domain. It's her equivalent of a courtyard. And he throws it, he says, "Arei mekudeshesli," and the witnesses witness it. What's the halacha? She's married. What about he throws it within her 4 cubits and the witnesses, and they question whether it entered into her domain or didn't enter her domain. So she's self mekudeshes. What does she need? She needs a get. Is she a get mi sofik or mi vade? Sofik, because she may have been an act of marriage. We don't know. It's unclear. She needs a get. Okay? In that case, let's say now the man who gave her the get would want to marry the sister, Leah. Is he permitted? No. Because he may have been married to Rachel. But let's say he does the act to Leah. What would he need? He'd have to divorce her. Right? He'd have to divorce her. He'd have to give her a get. Why? Because there's a chance he may have been married to the first one. So therefore, the second marriage is a marriage. Okay? It's a suffix. It's a suffix marriage. But a suffix, the rice l'chumra, he has to give a get. So he has to give a get to the first wife and to the second wife. Okay? So now let's... Correct. But since both are irresolvable, we don't know. So therefore, suffix the rice l'chumra dictates you need a get for the wife A and you need a get for wife B because it may have been the wife. We're not sure. Now, a person goes, he says to this man, "I give you permission to marry my daughter." That's what he says to him. And he's full agreement. And even we have witnesses who could actually testify to the fact that he was in agreement, that he consented this man should marry his daughter. But he didn't give the directive, give money to my daughter in marriage. He didn't say that to the father. And subsequently, without the father's knowledge, he goes and gives money to the daughter for the sake of marriage. So there's a question that, is that a marriage or is not a marriage? Since it was initially the father consented to this man to be the future husband of his daughter, is he still in agreement or he's not in agreement? Or does he have to actually give the directive? So it's a suffix. So now, it's a suffix. Now the man wants to separate from his wife. What does he have to do? He has to give her a get. Suffix derais l'chumra. Fine. Let's say now he goes and he marries Leah. Gives money to Leah for kiddushin. Leah's an adult. An adult. What would you say? Does she need a get? She needs a get. Correct? Would she need a get or not? She needs a get because she may have not been married. Because the only reason why you gave a get to Rachel is because she may have been married. Because the father may still be in agreement that he should be the husband. But he may not have been because he was unaware of it. That she needed a get from the second. Leah would need a get from him. Right? But since over here originally, how would people perceive the first marriage? They perceive it as a definite marriage. Why? No, wait. Not only. The father originally gave permission. So he said, look, he agreed, he consented, his daughter should marry the man. He went and followed through. She's definitely married to Rachel. When he did the act to Leah, it's nothing. So what are people going to say? There's no reason why she needs a get. She can remarry without a get. Because the kiddushin was not a kiddushin. Okay? That's what people... But let's say we say the first, with Rachel, we say get is not enough, she needs miyun. What does miyun automatically reveal? That it's not so simple. Although the father originally was in agreement, it's not so simple he was married. So therefore, it's only a rabbinical marriage. So if it was only a rabbinical marriage, when he gave the money for kiddushin to Leah, it's a doraisa marriage. It's possible maybe a doraisa marriage. So if that's the case, under no circumstance will we allow her to marry without a get from that first husband, from the man who originally married her sister. Because what does miyun reveal? If in fact she was fully married to Yaakov, if Rachel was fully married to Yaakov, why do you need miyun? Whoever heard miyun, it's a marriage, it's a doraisa marriage. You don't. So why did Chazal demand miyun? It's a suffix. So if it's a suffix, now if he should marry Leah, it's also a suffix. But if you wouldn't have miyun, what would people say? It was why was it different? Because the father originally was in agreement.
Right. So because of the suffix, what's the status with Leah then?
Leah needs a get.
Leah needs a get.
But if, let's say, you wouldn't have miyun. Let's say Rachel would not have miyun.
It's no marriage.
No. No, what would people say? People. It doesn't change the reality. It's still a marriage. It's a suffix marriage. It's still a suffix marriage. Because the get is only given within the context of a suffix. She also needs a get. But what are people going to say? People will say, no, she doesn't need a get. You know why? Since it was a prearranged marriage, they'll say it was the reason why he gave a get, because he definitely was married to her. But that's not the reality. So therefore, she's a married woman marrying without a get. Therefore, to reveal that it's not as it's perceived, therefore, Rachel needs miyun from Yaakov.
And then that shows that it's
a suffix. That it's a suffix.
Right. And then what's the status between Yaakov and Leah then?
Suffix. Suffix.
Can Yaakov marry Leah?
No, because it's a suffix. But she needs a get. But if he did an act of marriage, she needs a get to remarry.
Just because that's suffix.
Because that's suffix. No, once a woman receives a get, if you only have a rabbinical marriage and there's miyun, she walks out, the Kohen could marry because she never received the get. No, it's a suffix derais l'chumra. Okay, it's not so complicated. He may have he may have violated the laws of incest. May have definitely. He's there on the Torah level. He's not permitted to cohabit with Leah, because he may have been married to Rachel.
So best case is she was never married, and so nothing happened.
Right.
Worst case is he's got a serious problem.
Correct.
And she does too.
Right. Both. It's a question. It may have been an incestuous relationship. Correct.
In the first case where he had threw the money to he was the Kaddish within the Arbama. There, the same situation doesn't happen. The Rabbanan did not.
No, see, there it's different.
Everybody knows.
Because there's the suffix. See, here it was prearranged. So people say, of course it's a marriage. The father agreed to it. That's the way people will perceive it. Since it was shidduch, people say the marriage is a marriage.
So here, in the case when it's going, it's a suffix.
They were Adam, it's a suffix. It's a suffix.
Makes her a chosa.
Right. So right. There is no question. We're not afraid something like this is going to happen. Suffix mamzer. Correct. Okay, let's go further. Okay, let's get back to the Gemara. The time am I. Right, why do you need miyun in addition to the get? Omer avacha breder aviko tzricho get. What does she need to get? Shem nisratza of kiddushin. Because maybe the father was in agreement, consented to the marriage. So that's why Rachel needs to get. Tzricho miyun. And why does Rachel need miyun? Shem lo nisratza of kiddushin. Maybe the father was opposed to it. Although initially he agreed, maybe he wasn't in agreement, did not consent. The Omer say, if that's the case, what are people going to say? Ein kiddushin tosa bachoso. So if in fact she needs to get without the mean, people are going to say that the marriage to the sister was never a marriage. Omer Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman says that this question, which we're discussing now, v'hu sheshitchu, it's speaking where originally there was a shidduch, meaning the father was in agreement that Reuven should marry, or Yaakov should marry Rachel. No, the witnesses. Witnesses that he originally, there was a tanoim, okay? There was an engagement party that the father of Rachel was in agreement that Yaakov should marry his daughter. That's what we're concerned, that the father may have agreed to this, although he didn't give the directive. Ula Omar. Ula disagrees. Afilu miyaneinu tzricho. Ula says, not only don't you need get, you need nothing. If the man marries the girl without the consent of the father, she's a katana, even she doesn't even need miyun. The marriage is not a marriage whatsoever. It was never a suffix. Never a suffix. Simor says, "Avagav the shidchu." How's it possible? If there's a shidduch, if it was prearranged initially, how's it possible that Ula should say you need nothing? Simor says, "Man demastiho lo mastiho." That the one who originally had said that you need both, meaning Ula speaking where there was not a shidduch. If there was no shidduch whatsoever, according to this version, no get is needed, and no miyun is needed. Okay, if without a shidduch. Without a shidduch, where the father is opposed to it, and according to Rav Nachman that he says you need both, is speaking where there was a shidduch. You don't need even miyun is not necessary. Even miyun is not necessary. No. Tomorrow he says avagav the shidchu. It's not possible. So Mora says ma de mastiho lo mastiho. The one who says that you need both is speaking where it's shidduch. Ulu says that you need nothing, is speaking where it wasn't a shidduch. Okay. That's the first version.
Ulu would agree in the case if there was a shidduch?
Ulu would be in agreement. Would be in agreement. If there's shidduch, exactly to what Rav Nachman is saying, that you need both. That you need both. You need the get and you need the miyun. Okay? Ika di Amri, there's another version. Omer Ulo, Ketanush niskashel dasavia afilu mian eino tzricho. She doesn't need. So there's a question, are they arguing or not? Based on the two versions, the question, are they arguing or not arguing? Which means according to the second version, even without a shidduch, we're concerned. We're concerned that maybe the father may be in agreement. Maybe in agreement. This is the way Rashi learns. Why? So they explained, the Rishonim explained, we had earlier, Tavla Mesav Tandu Milesav Hamorlo, that a father would prefer his daughter to have a husband rather than be all by herself. According to the first version, you have to have a shidduch. Without a shidduch, there's nothing to talk about. It's not a marriage. You need nothing. Rav Nachman says because there was a shidduch, that's why we have a question. Second version is no, that even without a shidduch, it may be a marriage. It's a suffix, because the father may be in agreement, although he wasn't consulted. He may be in agreement because he prefers that his daughter should have a husband. No. Maybe a doraisa marriage. Maybe a doraisa marriage. She'd need a get and she'd need miyun for the same reason.
That's not what he really says.
Who?
Ula, according to the second opinion, there are some say
Ula says you need nothing.
you would need nothing.
Nothing. And but the chiddush of Rav Nachman. But Rav Nachman said you would need both, even though it wasn't shidduch.
Right.
So that's the chiddush. It's so far.
So far removed, we don't even worry about what the world thinks.
No.
Why does Ula need nothing?
Not
in
Ula.
the second version.
No, by shidduch, according to the first version, if there's shidduch, even Ula would agree you need both.
Agreed.
Because there's a strong chance.
The second version is
Second, because Ula is more logical. Ula is more logical, second version. If there was no prearranged marriage,
the woman had the girl. Had
no, the father's opposed to it.
Yep.
So how does a girl marry without the father's consent?
So there's no suffix at all.
There's no suffix, therefore you need.
The Raisa or the Rabbana.
It's not a rabbinic marriage, it's not a Torah marriage.
And we don't worry about
No, you don't
might
ma-
have thought it
no.
was a real marriage.
So if you need nothing, of course the second marriage is a marriage. She's a minor.
Of course.
But according to Ula, Rav Nachman says no. That since a father may have been in agreement because he wants his daughter to have a husband, so that creates a suffix. Once you have a suffix, then you need both. Because for the same concern with Rachel and Leah. Okay. Moshe Rav Kahana. Now, the Mishnah says in Yevomis that if it's based on the pasuk that if you have a man is married to his niece, this man's married to his niece, okay, and now, so that means his brother is his brother and his father-in-law, and so you have Reuven and Shimon. Shimon marries Reuven's daughter, and Shimon has other wives besides his niece, the co-wives. And now Shimon dies childless. So his other wives, who are not related to him, seemingly should fall to Yibum, to Reuven, the father of one of the wives. So the Torah says, based on Psukim, because they are the co-wives of an erva, they assume the identical status as the daughter, just as the daughter does not fall to Yibum, all the co-wives do not fall to Yibum. He was married to all of them at the time of the passing. That's called Tzoras Erva. They're the co-wives of the Erva.
Rather, because the father-in-law is not permitted.
He's not permitted. Not only, of course, the daughter's understood, but even the co-wives are on the off-limit status to him. But unless you have other brothers, they fall to the other brothers. Even the niece falls to the other brothers, because she's the niece of the other brothers. But the father, who's the father of, is the father-in-law, the co-wives assume the same status as his daughter, just as there's no yibum to his daughter, then there's no yibum to the co-wives. That's the halacha. What would be before he dies, he divorces his niece? Right? So now, at the time of yibum, time of the passing, the wives are no longer co-wives of a forbidden relationship. So now the co-wives They're no longer co-wives. They fall to Yibum, to the brother. Although the brother initially was the father-in-law of his brother. Okay, that's the halacha. So let's see. So it says, V'kulon and Mesu. O mianu. Let's say his daughter passed away before he died. She predeceased her husband. The niece predeceased the uncle, who she was married to. O mianu. Or they walked out. It was a rabbinic marriage, and she refused to continue the relationship before he died. So again, so that means if it's mianu, what is the status of the marriage? It was rabbinic marriage. Rabbinic marriage. Okay? O nisgarshu. Or the brother divorced his niece before he died. O shnibtzu ailunis. She was a woman. He realized afterwards she never developed as a woman, so that's called kiddushin tos. Right? She never developed. He married off as a minor. The brother married his daughter to his brother as a minor. Subsequently, she never developed as a woman.
It's even better than being divorced. It's like they were never married.
That's kiddushin tos. Right? Surasei mutaros. So the co-wives are permitted to the what? To the surviving brother, although he was the father of what? Of the wife initially, because either because she predeceased him, she was divorced before he died, or it was revealed that it was never a marriage because it was a mistaken marriage.
At the time of
It's a rebbe, it's the same. We're giving different scenarios. Each scenario is unrelated to the other.
because at the time of death there was no wife.
Exactly. There was no, she wasn't a wife. So she's not a wife. They're not co-wives. So it says, the Kitchaman, it says, who married her off originally? This niece was married off to the brother, who married her off initially. Ilema the Kitcha of Yo, was she married to the brother by the father? The Miyun Sagilo, get Malya boy. The Mishnah says, Miyun is sufficient. How could Miyun be sufficient? If the father married her off, that means she should need a bona fide get. It's a Torah marriage to be continued.